Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Converging Horizons podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Tan. Today, we'll be diving into the topic of artificial intelligence from the perspective of the two leading nations, China and the US. AI is transforming how we learn, work, communicate, and imagine the future. At the same time, it has become a major point of competition between countries, especially the United States and China. So, who leads in AI will shape military capability, economic growth, information control, and even how societies govern themselves. But before we talk about AI as a geopolitical race, it's important to understand how young people actually experience AI in their everyday lives. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang has described AI at the industrial level as a five-layer cake, starting with energy at the base, followed by chips and computing infrastructure, where his company lives, cloud services, AI models that we're familiar with, such as ChatGPT, and finally, the application layer, where real economic value is created in areas like healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and transportation. Today's episode is about the US-China AI race, not from politicians or CEOs, but from the students living inside these systems, preparing to enter a world where this rivalry will define their futures. So I'm joined by two thoughtful guests today, one student from each country, who will help us explore this complex topic. So welcome to both of you, Rohan and Huan. Could you please briefly introduce yourselves?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Huan, currently an undergraduate in Tsinghua University, at the same time intern at AI research at Tsinghua Institution. My research focuses on computer vision and pattern recognition, which is a primary branch of artificial intelligence. In this podcast, I want to share my perspectives and observations about China based on my experience. By the way, I also focus on other countries' status quo, especially the United States. Thanks.
Thank you. What about you, Rohan?
Yeah, my name's Rohan. I recently graduated from Yale, where I majored in global affairs, and I
Mm.
studied the impacts of AI on national security and different aspects of American politics. And I'll be attending Yale Law School in the fall, and I'm really interested in better understanding the impact of AI on politics and society as well.
That's amazing. Thank you both. I can't wait to hear from you. So, can we have a virtual handshake? We have one hand from the east of the Pacific in Beijing and one hand from the west of the Pacific in Connecticut. What a warm handshake. Do you feel each other's warmth?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Okay, so first, I want to hear about your impression and perceptions of each other's AI development. So Rohan, what is your impression of the latest development of AI in China today?
Yeah, my impression is that China's AI development is probably like incredibly advanced at the technical and innovation level, probably on par with the US in many ways. It seems like the government and private companies in China both see AI as central to the future of economic growth and national competitiveness. So there's a lot of investment and momentum behind that. I think where I see another aspect that might differ from the US is in accessibility and openness. And I think it's very possible that personally, my perception is that in China, access might be more controlled and regulated. In a more authoritarian system, at least according to political science theory, completely unrestricted AI could be seen as a risk to political stability. So I'd expect a tighter oversight around what tools people can use and how information flows and is available to the people. And so I'd guess China is probably equally as innovative and probably one of the most innovative countries when it comes to AI, but operating under a more state-controlled and managed framework and regulated framework compared to the US. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Great. Yeah, that's a really thoughtful way of framing it. And I think you're touching on something really important regarding AI development being shaped by the country's values, such as openness. So I'm curious to see if this outside perception matches the lived experience. So Li Huan, what do you think? Is that the case in China?
Well, Thanks for your impression of China's AI development, and it's really insightful to hear your outside perspective. And some points do align with the reality we experience. In fact, uh, China's AI development is more policy guided and scenario driven at its core. Our government has long listed AI as a key strategic industry with clear support for technological research, industrial layout, and the industry university research collaboration, which has created a strong ecosystem for AI innovation from top lab to startups. What's more, unlike the more market-oriented drive you may perceive, China's AI development attaches great importance to practical application in real-life scenarios, such as we see AI deeply integrated into daily life, like smart transportation in big cities, AI-powered education tools in schools, and agricultural technology in rural areas. Yes, exactly, and also into key industries such as advanced manufacturing and healthcare. It is not just about cutting-edge model research. It is about making AI deliver real value for social and economic development at all levels and all walks of life. Yes, that's all.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And I find your emphasis on real world application very relatable because I've lived in both countries and I really feel the integration of AI into cities after I go back to China. So, Li Huan, what is your perception of the landscape of AI development in the United States?
Previously, the United States has core advantages in AI. The key strength of the AI development landscape, many people may attribute this edge to top universities, such as Princeton, Stanford, or UC Berkeley, and Yale, etc. They may think they stand out in particular. And leading enterprises like Google and NVIDIA, which play a pivotal role. But to me, from my perspective, its true strength lies in a bottom-up innovation atmosphere. For example, I have participated in hackathons hosted by ByteDance, which are held across society and universities. Yet it was Chinese engineers in United States who first saw how Silicon Valley hackathons connected people across all sectors and resolved to bring such pattern to China. Today, hackathons in China attracts millions of participants. This is a powerful radiating influence of a thriving innovation ecosystem. By the way, hackathon is mainly towards product development, not research, not scientific research. But it is definitely a good example to reflect a sound system in United States and its impact. This is my perspective.
Mm, thank you. How accurate is Li Huan's perception, do you think?
I think that's a pretty fair way to describe the US system. And there's a lot there I agree with. I think one thing that Li Huan said that stands out to me is that AI in the US is built on that really strong foundation of basic research. And there are a lot of breakthroughs we see in schools like MIT and Stanford and Google and NVIDIA where they create this pipeline where ideas can move pretty fluidly from research to real world products. At the same time, I think there's a little bit being missed in terms of the role of culture and the phenomenon of governance and regulation. For example, I think there's a lot of freedom to experiment and fail. And he did mention startups, but there is just a ton of venture capital that is being funded into these pretty speculative ideas when it comes to AI. But because there is this AI frenzy, there's a lot of money in there. But at the same time, there is definitely a growing movement and concern about ethics and governance, especially when we look at AI tools that involve videos and sort of unethical uses of AI that concern bias and privacy and misinformation. You're definitely seeing a lot more concern and regulation and things involving safety standards and responsible AI when it comes to those issues. And so it's kind of a balancing act to keep innovation really fast while also making sure it's not causing harm and major disruptions to society.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing it. So we can see that the US leans more bottom up and market driven, while China leans top down and application oriented. So now that we have a general idea of the two countries' approaches, I want to hear your personal experiences. So, how is AI involved in your life and how does it impact you as a student? For example, how do you use AI tools, whether for studying, writing, or even outside of school? Rohan, you can go first.
Yeah. I think for me, I really try to use AI as more of an add-on than a replacement. I know some of my peers may use it purely as a replacement, but I think in the long run, that really hurts your own critical thinking and ability to produce really quality work, whether it's in STEM or the humanities. And so I treat it like a tool that can sharpen and speed my work, but not something that does the work for me. And so through that, I'm able to improve my efficiency and tighten my language. And sometimes I help it to like ask it to help me to reframe something for a different audience or context, right? So if I've written a work that I really like, but I need to reframe it to a different audience or a different format, AI is really good at reformatting an existing work to a different audience. And so I try to be really intentional about not letting it become a crutch in my life, especially as a student. And at the same time, like I've said, I've seen people rely on it too heavily, like using it to write entire assignments or skip the learning process. And I think, like I said, that really hurts you in the long run and dulls your critical thinking. And so for me, I think the sweet spot is using AI as a smart assistant that can sort of help fine tune your work and help you work faster and polish your ideas. But the core thinking and the core ideas and the creativity is still coming from me.
Mm, wow, that's a really good perspective. I think we should all learn from your mindset. Um, Li Huan, what about you? How do you use AI in your life?
Recently, AI has really become such an integral part of our daily life as a student. Uh, it is basically my go-to tool for everything, both schoolwork and daily little tasks. I can't imagine getting my without it now, in fact. So when it comes to my studies and academic stuff, I use all kinds of AI tools nonstop. I will run my research paper, draft through them to polish the writings. And also there is a lot of AI tools such as paper to code, paper to PPT, paper to something something else. So fix awkward phrasing and even make the logic flow better. Uh, and I also rely on them to debug simple code that bug me when I'm stuck on programming problems. It is such a time saver, honestly, all those tedious, time-consuming little chores uh, that used to eat up hours of my day. AI handles them in a flash, leaving me with way more time to focus on the actual learning and deep thinking part. And it is not just for studying either. AI has totally changed how I find the process information in my daily life. Before, whenever I need to look something up or figure out a random question, I'd open a browser and browse through tons of web page to find what I needed. But now I just have a quick, casual chat with AI, asking it what I want to know directly, and it gives me a clear, concise answer right away. It is so much more efficient and effortless. It has just become my natural first stop for any information that I need in this day.
Great. Thank you for sharing. So, I think I'm seeing a big difference in how AI plays a role in students' lives in terms of the choices of the school. So, how is the environment for like AI usage in school policies like for you guys? Does the school encourage it or are there regulations?
Do you mean Chinese college or United States?
Yeah, like what is it like in China?
Like what like in China? So in China, in fact, I think that no matter in teachers' aspect or students, they are support the student to use AI tools, such as even except for the examinations, uh, we are we are not allowed the cheating, but in daily life when we study something, AI tools is allowed. AI tools is allowed. Include some teachers. Some teachers they may use AI tools to judge students' homework. Yes, we use it as a convenient tools.
That's really
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, I think it's a little bit less accepted in the classroom, at least from my perspective. And I think there is a little bit of a shift towards professors trying to incorporate it in the work, but I think like for me personally, professors have been very anti using ChatGPT and AI tools, especially like when it comes to humanities and writing essays. I think in STEM, I've seen it a little bit more as used as a guide for studying, but I think there is like a real fear, at least in my classrooms and from my teachers, that AI like and the overusage of AI is going to like dull that ability to think critically and really learn the subject material. So I think it's really interesting, Li Huan, from your perspective, that the teachers there seem to be more receptive of that. So I think that really marks a key difference.
Right. Yeah. That's a really interesting difference. Okay, so let's talk about employment, which is another big topic when people discuss AI. So AI will definitely reshape the future of the labor market. So what jobs or opportunities do you think AI will eliminate or create? What do you think, Rohan?
I do think AI is definitely going to reshape the labor market, and it's definitely going to reduce and eliminate some jobs, specifically when we think about jobs that include like summarization and jobs that don't involve a lot of critical thinking, and it's more rote and manual sort of rationalization rather than really creative thinking. And I think there's a real potential for AI to disrupt those jobs. At the same time, I do think to an extent there is an over exaggeration of the fear around AI and its ability to disrupt. And I think AI is definitely going to automate specific tasks, but I don't think it's going to be entire professions. And so rather than AI disrupting and eliminating all of the jobs, I think it's going to change how we conduct a lot of the jobs. So when it comes to teaching, maybe rather than writing all of the curriculum yourself, you use AI to write a lot of the curriculum. And most of your work as a teacher is that in-person collaboration and interaction with the student rather than writing the material or writing the homework. So a lot of that rote specific tasks are going to be replaced, but not the entire profession as a whole. And so I think it's going to increase our productive capacity rather than just eliminating jobs as a whole.
What do you think, Li Huan? How will AI reshape the future of the labor market?
Yes, indeed. I don't view AI as a threat to jobs at all. In fact, I believe this widespread worry is largely unnecessary when we take a step back and examine the course or technological history. Throughout human civilization, every major technological revolution from the Industrial Revolution, powered by steam engines, to digital revolution driven by computers and the internet, has sparked initial fears about mass unemployment. Yet none of them even led a lasting collapse in global employment. At the outset, these technological leaps did inevitably disrupt some traditional job roles. For instance, steam engines replaced countless manual laborers in factories who once relied on physical strength to operate machinery, and the computer rendered many positions, yes, such as manual data. And such technological breakthrough completely reshaped reproduction relations, eliminated outdated and inefficient ways of working, and created a huge number of new jobs that no one could have imagined before. the revolution took hold. So AI definitely follows the same historical patterns. I think it is not here to take away jobs or leave large number of people unemployed, but rather to reshape the way we work, optimize labor allocation, and open up new and that's new careers that in traditional pathway that align with the needs of a more advanced technological eras. So yes, this is my view and my thought towards these issues.
Thank you so much. So even though you're from very different national contexts, I think there's a lot of overlap on this question. And this reminds me that Jensen Huang recently offered his own perspective, which aligns with you guys. He predicted that jobs like plumbers, electricians, and construction workers, they will soon command six-figure salaries due to the massive demand of the AI infrastructure, which is like the cake that I mentioned earlier. And it's backed by the largest scale investment in history, amounting to trillions of US dollars. So he thinks that it's set to push the future earnings for blue collar workers. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but Elon Musk said recently at the World Economic Forum that he thinks no later than next year, probably by 2030, AI will be smarter than all of humanity collectively. So doesn't that sound a bit intimidating to you? And as students, how do we confront this and find our own values in the new labor market? And in other words, what skills should education prioritize in adapting to this new landscape?
Yeah, I can answer. I think it does feel intimidating to answer your question, when you hear that AI can write code, analyze data, create art, even create videos and now like it seems like everything that humans could do intellectually, it seems that AI can do. And so it makes you wonder like if AI is improving at such a rate, what's going to be left for us to do? And so especially as students that have like spent a lot of time, and I'm sure Lee Huan has spent a lot of time developing intellectual skills and technical skills like coding. There's definitely this fear that the very things we've been studying and training and for in school, our lives are going to be automated and being able to do better and more efficiently by a robot or AI. But I personally try to think about it as intellectual labor, not as intellectual labor disappearing, but more changing. And so, like I said earlier, and I think Jensen Huang and Elon Musk make good points, but I think I disagree in that I don't think whole careers are going to vanish overnight. And I think it's more about the skills in those careers becoming more flexible and fungible. And so instead of knowing how to write or code, you need to know how to work with AI and prompt engineer. And so people who understand how to use AI and prompt engineer really well are going to be successful. And so it's less about memorizing information and being able to summarize it extremely well, but rather thinking critically and making good judgment. So AI can generate answers, but it still takes a human to decide what's actually useful or meaningful. And I'm sure we've all had that experience where we give AI a prompt and we're like, this answer, there's some fluff in here that isn't as useful. And so I think that's the human judgment part that's gonna stay even in the future. Like we're gonna be able to decide, hey, is this really necessary? Is this good information? And so I do think there is this dystopian fear that intellectual work is going to become obsolete, but I'm not totally convinced that it's realistic. And so I think the human skills like creativity and ethics and communication and that really big picture thinking is going to become more important. So we need to prioritize adaptability and critical thinking and learning how to collaborate with technology rather than just being scared with it and competing with it.
Right. That's a really good point. Thank you so much. What about you, Li Huan? What do you think? Wait, sorry, I think you might be muted.
Okay. I think this would be a big difference between two of us. It does sound a bit intimidating at first, but I think the core logic to navigate this change is rooted in basic economic principles, staying demand-supply oriented, and this holds true no matter how the landscape envelopes. So for us students, that translates to centering our daily study and research on problem solving instead of just rote learning. On the other hand, the rapid path of technological development means we have to let go of some fixed mindset. For instance, when the speed of step-by-step rigid learning falls behind technological progress, so that blind and mindless diligence can actually hold us back. This requires us to stop treating outdated knowledge or methods as an unshakable foundations, and also to stop justifying our fear of stepping out of our comfort zone, as being steady and down to earth in character. Simply, that's all.
Thank you. So beneath that fear is a deeper question, which is how do we maintain human purpose in an AI-driven world? What do you think, Rohan?
Yeah, I think that's like a really great question. And it's something that we need to start considering more seriously as AI starts automating a lot of the work that humans have done for the past couple of centuries. And so for a long time, we've tied our sense of meaning and our sense of purpose to the work and labor that we do. And so how productive are we? And so when AI starts to take over those tasks, it can feel like it's not just replacing labor, it's replacing our purpose and value as humans. And so I personally think the part of the shift that has to happen is realizing that our purpose probably extends beyond labor. It's about the relationships we have. And so work is important, but it shouldn't be the only thing that gives our lives meaning. And so the things like relationships, creativity, community, helping one another, that's what is inherently human and can't really be automated. And at the same time, we need to be careful. It's one thing to use AI as a tool to work, but outsourcing it for everything. You hear about AI chatbots, AI dating bots, and I think that's really unhealthy because when we start to rely on AI for the human interactions and the human experiences, we're really risking losing something really important. And so I think it's really about balance. Like use AI to augment and really improve what we're doing, but not replace what makes us human. And we should be really cautious about giving it too much autonomy, especially in those areas, like I said, that involve relationships and values and decision making that require human thinking and human empathy and judgment. And so I see AI as something that should expand human possibility, but not define human purpose.
Awesome. I totally agree with you. That's great. What do you think, Li Huan, about human purpose? Wait, I think you're muted again.
Well,
Okay.
I think if we define human purpose at its core as a persistent pursuit of meaningful life experience and the creation of positive, lasting value for individuals, societies, and even the entire human civilizations, then AI is not a disruptor of this purpose, but a powerful accelerator that propels it forward. AI empowers humans to overcome the limitation of physical strength, time, and cognitive capacity in pursuing their goals. It helps scientists shift through massive amounts of data to find clues for curing diseases, enabling artists to blend technology and creativity to produce more diverse and profound works, and support uh, social practitioners in optimizing solutions to address social issues such as poverty alleviation and environmental protections. In every field where humans strive to realize this purpose, AI acts as a reliable assistant. Yes. So it is therefore clear that the key to safeguard and realizing human purpose in the AI age, it has never been tied to AI itself, I think, nor does it lie in resisting or fearing this technological progress. The fundamental solution has long been clear and remains unchanging to these days. On the other hand, we need to strengthen universal education and cultivate the ability of all people to think rationally and objectively about technology. This means helping people understand the natural and potential and boundaries of AI, breaking free from blind fear or blind worship, and learning to coexist with the use of AI rationally. Yes, exactly. That's all.
Thank you so much. So, Professor Geoffrey Hinton, known as the godfather of AI, said that the architecture we use for large language models don't actually apply to the real world. So, the next revolution in AI is going to be systems that understand things like sensory data and can build predictive models of how the environment is going to evolve, which is basically physical AI. So, what role do you imagine embodied AI, such as robots, to play in the future? What do you think, Rohan?
I think that's a really great question. I think embodied AI is probably going to play a really practical role at first, and I think it's going to be less like what we typically think of the like humanoid like sci-fi like companions and more doing physical and repetitive tasks that are really simple. So it's not going to be something like surgery, right? That is as first in place because that's really complicated and it's really there are really like complex situational elements of surgery that makes it really hard for a robot to do, and the stakes are really high, right? If you mess up, you're playing with a human life there, and so I think it's going to be really like routine work, like elder care support or warehouse work or maybe even disaster response and manufacturing, and so in that sense, I see robots as extensions of human capability that can improve our productivity and capabilities. And in the near term, I think it's less about replacing humans and more about sort of increasing what we can do, similar to how software AI improves cognitive work. I think, but when it comes to the idea of like transferring consciousness or trying to achieve this like sense of like eternal life we see in a lot of these like sci-fi movies and TV shows, I'm pretty skeptical. I think like not just from a technical sense, but also philosophically. I think if you could perfectly copy someone's memories and personality into a machine, I'm not exactly convinced that's actually the same person. And so it might be just a really convincing replica, but there is something about the human element, the spiritual element to someone that even if you have the same memories, you can't actually replicate that human. And so mortality and that sense of urgency and the fact that our life ends at some point is what gives our life like urgency and meaning in the first place.
Wow, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think if there's always eternal life, the society would be very much ossified and there wouldn't be that much vibrancy. So, would you choose, if there was a technology, would you want a robot that could give you eternal life?
I personally would not. I think I think part of life is being able to end it and be satisfied with the work you've done. And I think eternal
Mm,
life kind of undermines that principle.
yeah, I see. Okay, Li Huan, what about you? What do you think about physical AI and, eternal life?
So this is a deep question. This is a deep question. Uh, like we just talk about the embodied AI, which is widely used in advanced robots, is a pivotal bridge connected our aims to the physical world. Uh, so translating latest abstract understanding into tangible, purposeful environmental interactions by integrating high precision sensors, perception, and predictive modeling of real-world physical dynamics. This system transcended pure language computations, and they enable AI to truly experience real scenarios, adapt to unseen changes, and execute textually appropriate actions. So I think their real-world applications are transformative across sectors, acting as a personalized intelligent assistant in daily life, flexible collaborative partners for medical professionals in healthcare, and the fearless explorer in extreme. Human inaccessible environments like deep sea and outer space most crucially embody AI, and to our external world, it fosters grounded real-world cognition for AI and an understanding rooted in physical interactions rather than mere text-based knowledge from training data. This is the essential key to realize what Hinton says, the vision of an artificial intelligence that doesn't just simulate comprehension of the physical world through language, but truly the fundamental understands its inherent rules and the dynamics. Yes. This is my perspective towards the embodied AI use in our external world in the future.
Thank you. So if you had the choice, then would you want a robot that can give you eternal life?
Yes, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do.
Okay.
I'm willing to do that.
Okay. That's something different between you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, then what do you think is the biggest risk for an AI-dominated future for humans? And just generally, what worries you the most? Rohan, you can go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about the risk, everybody automatically thinks of Terminator, right? When the AI suddenly becomes
Mm,
conscious and takes over the world. I actually think of a different movie, and it's probably a lesser known movie. It's called Elysium, and it's where uh, the richest and most wealthiest and powerful people have used technology and robots to increase inequality. We're currently at a place in human history where the income inequality and wealth gap is as massive as it's ever been in history. And I think AI and technology actually gives the opportunity to expand that even further, where we see companies and individuals own the best models and only use it to further their own wealth and power. And amplify the productivity for themselves, and we see a group of, or the massive group of people getting left behind. And so I see it as a dystopian future where that small group uses AI to automate everything, hoard everything, use robots as security to keep the masses in check and sort of enjoy the fruits of labor. And I think that's something that really worries me about AI is like when we think about ethics, we're basically teaching these systems how to behave. And so it's really important like the values and philosophy that we teach them. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but there's been simulations with LLM models such as Anthropic, where the AI models actually they did a simulation and the to for the AI models, and the AI models actually acted with deception or malicious intent when pursuing their goals. And that's really concerning because it shows that if the wrong actors get in charge of AI, there could be really disastrous effects. And I think that is really the main risk when we talk about AI. Not necessarily that the AI is going to take over and gain consciousness, but who has control over AI and how they're going to use it.
right. That's a really good point. So what do you think, Lihan? What is the biggest risk?
I always think that people often overthinking and get stuck on far-fetched worst-case scenarios. The real urgent issue right now is the information gap, I thought. It is making so many people miss out on once in a lifetime blue ocean opportunities in this AI revolution. So to complain about not being born in the right era are actually living through a great technological revolutions, yet they fail to seize it. I feel this myself. I have countless ideas in daily life, but uh, in majority of time, I'm limited by practical resources and connections, and I just don't know how to turn them into actions. That's why rational resources integration is so crucial today. Cognitive awareness and actionable graph are equally indispensable. So in comparison, in comparison, talk about AI replacing human is a pure time wasting. So the more people on that far off unsubstantial fear, the more they will overlook the real, tangible opportunities and the challenges right in front of them.
Okay. There's a pretty different view from you guys. So Rohan is pointing at the structure and long-term dangers of like concentration of power and inequality. But Li Huan thinks we should just focus on the current and not miss the moment. That's an interesting difference. Okay, so let's talk about the AI race and the future of US-China relationships. So it is evident that there's a big race going on between the US and China today in terms of AI. So if you were to make a forecast of, say, 20 years later, what do you think will be the future of the AI race?
I think in 20 years, the China to US AI race will move past the current all-round competitions for technological dominance and envelop into a pattern of different development with core advantages and complementary strengths, rather than one set completely outpassing the others. The US will likely retain its leading edge in foundation layer of AI, such as chip design, basic algorithm research, and foundational large model innovations. Backed by its long-term investment in basic science and a global talent ecosystem, China, on the other hand, will further solidify its advantages in the application layers and industrial integrations. With its huge market scale, complete industrial chain, and the mature scenario-based innovation capabilities. Yes, AI will be deeply integrated into manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, and social governance, and so forth, creating more practical economic and social value.
I see. What do you think about a forecast, Rohan?
Yeah, I think I agree with like a lot of what Li Huan has said. I think there's definitely going to be that complementary system where the US has some strengths and advantages, particularly in that foundational research, like you said, whereas China will excel at some other aspects of AI when in terms of deployment and integration into everyday life. I also think it would be interesting how each country regulates AI and how it affects leadership and government and politics. I think that will be very different. But in terms of innovation, I do think I agree with what Li Huan has said, in that a lot of it will be parallel ecosystems with innovation bouncing back and forth rather than just flowing in one direction and one country dominating. And I love to see less competition and more cooperation, especially as we've said, AI poses some real risks, and we have the opportunity to really adequately manage it when we're cooperating a little bit more.
Right. I totally agree. So speaking of cooperation, as students, how do you think the US-China rivalry has affected how students can collaborate across borders? And like, for example, do you feel more cautious about sharing things like research or ideas or opinions?
Yeah, I think the rivalry has had an effect to some extent, like you said. I think sharing research, I think it's hard not to succumb to some of the propaganda of our respective governments. I know that sometimes I've been a victim of it. And I do sometimes feel it's like there is a lot of rhetoric around, hey, like the Chinese government might steal your data if you use TikTok, especially, or certain applications. And even though it's sometimes not explicit, there's more caution around research partnerships and data sharing. And as students, I think that's really unfortunate, because science and learning is supposed to be really open. And when you have this fear of someone's going to steal this IP, or I can't really collaborate across borders, you're going to have people second guess what they share, or who they work with, and I think the progress we have is really going to be impeded. And the truth is that students in America and in China are more similar than you think. And even though the governments might try to portray them as different, and we have a lot of the similar struggles and challenges, and I'm sure Li Huan and I have gone through similar difficulties, and a difference in governments doesn't necessarily mean that we are fundamentally different when it comes to our values and our culture. And honestly, I think most students aren't necessarily thinking about national competition. They're really thinking about learning and being interested in new things.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I think. That US and Chinese students, they have so much in common. And they're just students that want to do their work and advance their research. And that's exactly why I'm doing this podcast. So that, the misunderstandings that divide us can be transformed through intellectual and interpersonal exchange. So, Li Huan, is there also propaganda, like he mentioned, in China? And, what do you think about collaborating with US students?
Uh, Obviously, willing to collaborate with US students, but in fact, the US and the China competition has indeed created noticeable invisible barriers that have curbed the freedom of cross-border collaboration among students. Yes, and this change is tangible in my daily academic exchanges and interactions with peers from both countries. In formal settings like international academic conference, joint research projects, a sense of caution has emerged when it comes to sharing core research content, whether it's foundational research ideas, original experimental data, or even preliminary research findings that haven't been published yet. Both Chinese and American students have become far more mindful of intellectual property protection, which has made many academic exchange feel more formalized and less spontaneous. So casual discussions after a conference or online brainstorm sessions are no longer as fluent as we want. This culture also steeps into informal personal communications when talking with international peers about cutting-edge AI research directions. There are times when we hesitate to dive deep into specific details. Uh, Unconsciously worried about unintended leaks of key research content. Importantly, this worries is never our personal issues between individual students. This is what I want to clarify. In fact, it is a direct reflection of the broader geopolitical environment on academic exchange in the AI field, and a subtle constraint that none of us can easily ignore.
Thank you so much. So my final question is, you know, both of you said that we should have more cooperation. So as the younger generation now, what can we do to push for more collaboration and less of the tension that's affecting students?
I think something we can do is identify similar challenges when it comes to AI. And I think the challenges that like we face in AI are not significantly different when it comes to the dangers of AI and the also the accessibility of AI. I think a lot of those issues from Chinese students and American students are going to face a lot of those same issues. And so when we both look at those issues of privacy, of especially like some of the video AI that are affecting young children, and I think like both Americans and Chinese people find that really horrible and dangerous. I think those are issues that we can come together and work together on and say like, hey, like these are really bad dangers, and how can we as a society develop our technology to avoid these risks and address them? And I think that's how we sort of rise above the competition and collaborate more by identifying similar difficulties that we're both facing.
Yeah. That's a great point. These challenges don't pick what country you're from. They're for all humans. What do you think, Li Huan? How can we push for collaboration?
Well, as for push for collaboration, I think as a global students and we young people can take small detail and daily academic steps to break cross-border collaboration barriers, such as I think we should uphold academic openness for low stakes, non-sensitive exchange, and share basic research methods, discuss universal AI challenge or cost online challenges on fundamental and non-strategic AI theories to rebuild US student trust and restore casual academic discussions. On the other hand, I also want to clarify that a clarified IP protection boundaries is advanced in cross-border communications, defining shareable and confidential content to turn caution into reasonable safeguards. And third, I think it is a good idea to leverage use-led platform like International AI Association student chapters to build natural academic collaboration channels, enabling relaxed cooperation on small research projects and popularization to experience cross-border collaboration value firsthand. As young students and also young researchers, I think we are more connected and free from rigid geopolitical stereotypes, and the proactive communication, mutual trust, and pragmatic actions will weaken geopolitics impact on academic exchange and making the pursuit of scientific and technological progress the common driving force for further collaboration. Exactly.
Thank you. I think you guys have a lot of similarities in that.
Yes.
So let's
Awesome.
play. Okay, yeah. Let's play a fun game before we wrap up for you guys to know each other better. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and then as soon as I ask, you guys can answer. Whoever wants to go first. So first, what is your favorite dessert?
This is really fun. I would say the tres leches cake. I really like those. Those are really sweet.
What is that? Is it a
It's
kind of
actually
cake?
a Mexican American dessert.
Ooh.
And it's really good. It's like it uses milk, condensed milk in like a cake, and it tastes really good.
Wow, I want to try it. Great. Okay, what's your favorite dessert?
Me, maybe my favorite dessert is tiramisu, uh, a really
Ah,
classical,
that's a good one. Yeah.
classical dessert. Yes.
Okay, great. Then second
In fact,
question,
in
what's
fact,
your favorite sport?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
I mean, in fact, uh, I'm not really willing to eat this dessert in daily life, but tiramisu.
Ah, you're
Um,
healthy.
yes, yes, yes,
That's
yes.
a good habit. Okay. So what are your favorite sports? If you had to pick one.
I'm not a big sport person, but recently I really like enjoy watching basketball. And
Ah, of
yeah,
course.
I think it's really action paced and fun.
I like basketball too. What about you, Li Huan?
Is football, and I played football uh
Oh,
when I was 9 years old. Yes, and I already played football for nearly 10 years.
wow.
We should clarify. You mean soccer or non-American football, right?
Soccer or football?
Because the Super Bowl is tomorrow. So.
Oh, wow. So like
In British,
like
in
where you
British,
kick the
the,
ball.
in British, yes, kickball. In British, they call it as football, and in America, it named as soccer. Yes. So I mean soccer. I mean
Mm,
soccer.
okay. Awesome. My next question is Rohan mentioned, like dating simulators. So would you want an AI girlfriend if you had the choice?
Personally, not. No, no. I think having that human element would is really necessary, but I have some friends that claim that the AI girlfriends are going to be so good you can't tell the difference. But hopefully, I will always be able to tell the difference. But personally, no, I would not want to.
Mm, yeah. Would you want one, Li Huan?
Think I will not too. I will not too. Because I think
You would love to?
um, I will not. I will not. I will not.
Oh, okay.
I will not. Um,
Okay. Same reason as
because a
Rohan?
bit, because it is a little bit of weird. I think a little bit of weird.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want one too. Okay. Who is your favorite artist or celebrity? If you had to name one, it can be one of your favorites.
Mhm. I really like let's see. I really like Christian Bale. He plays the Batman in The Dark Knight. So I really like him. He
Oh,
plays a lot of really good roles. I also really like Denzel Washington as an actor. He's acted in a lot of great movies.
awesome. What about you?
Mm,
Do you have a favorite?
in fact, in fact, I, I I'm not really focused on this, but if you ask which is my favorite TV stars or TV shows, as for stars, maybe I like Michael Jackson. Yes,
Michael Jackson? Wow.
Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Great.
Uh,
Okay,
he
then my
he's
final
really
question.
distinguished.
Oh, sorry.
Distinguished.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing. I think he's really distinguished stars. Yes, and huge and global impact in a monument scale.
Of course. Okay, then finally, what is a motto, which is like a sentence that you would want to gift to the other person today?
Mhm. Yeah, a famous motto in America is it be the change you want to see in the world, and I think that's a really
Mm,
profound uh, motto because uh, it really asks you to own your own life, and if you see injustice or an issue in the world, you can be that change rather than waiting for someone else to fix it for you.
right. What about you? Do you have a sentence to give to Rohan?
Yes, exactly. I think my life motto is to maintain the childlike curiosity about new things,
Mm,
because I think this motto encourages us to keep the an innate and tainted curiosity that children have towards all novel things, ideas, experience, and discoveries throughout our lives. Uh, it- it's also a reminder to stay open-minded, never lose the enthusiasm to explore the unknown and approach newness with a fresh and just perspective, instead of becoming indifferent or dismissive due to the awareness of adulthood. This childlike curiosity fuels continuous learning, creativity, and a lifelong sense of wonder for the world around us. So I will set him as my life motto.
great, thank you. So childlike curiosity and be the change you want to be.
Yes, keep
Very
curiosity.
inspirational.
Yeah. And Victoria, I want to thank you for having me on the podcast. I feel like I've really learned a lot about the Chinese perspective on AI and really broadened my own horizon.
Wow. No, thank you
Yes,
so much for being here. Yeah.
indeed. Communicate. In fact, communicate with foreigner friends is really cherished opportunities for me. Also for other Chinese students, because in our daily life we live in the campus in China, and the only chance that we can communicate with foreigner friends is to study with those international students. So I will really appreciate with Rohan and appreciate with for the Victorias that provide such great platform to let us communicate one by one. Yes, it's really impressive and unforgettable. In fact, in China, we communicate with WeChat, right? But in America, maybe they are more likely to use social platforms such as X or Facebook or Blue Sky, etc. So the social platform, I mean, it is not really convenient for us to communicate with international foreigner students in social platform. Yes, it's not really convenient because it has a gap. It has a gap. We use WeChat, but they use other platforms. So no matter online or offline, it's not really inconvenient for us to communicate with others. Yes, so such opportunities is really critical and really important.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. So I think we should do more events like this where we can bridge Chinese and US students. So thank you to both of you so much for sharing your thoughts today. And so as we wrap up today's conversation, it's clear that the story of AI is not just about algorithms or national strategy, it's about the people. The US-China AI race is often framed as a zero-sum competition, but what we've heard today complicates that narrative. So from personal experiences with AI in the classroom to anxieties and hope about the future of employment, and also to deeper questions about collaboration and human value, it's evident that the young people on both sides are grappling with remarkably similar challenges. And that's something important we need to recognize. So this rivalry may be geopolitical, but the stakes are deeply human. So thank you again to both of our guests for sharing your insights and lived experiences. And thank you to our listeners for joining us in this conversation. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.